My name is Scott Parfitt. I'm course leader for the BA Logistics and Supply Chain Management at the University of South Wales. A little bit about myself. Public sector procurement is my area of expertise, along with retail and general supply chain management. I advise Welsh Government on procurement policy, and in 2009 helped or contributed towards the Barriers to Procurement report that got adopted by Welsh Government policy, which looked at small medium enterprises gaining access to public sector procurement. So I believe in the EU there's something like 1,700 billion spent on procurement, and that has a great impact upon being able to impact upon the economy. It accounts for about 17% of GDP for most developed nations, so it's a significant amount of impact that has. So here at USW you'll be taught by people who not only are leading in terms of academic, but we also get involved in industry projects. So I've recently implemented purchasing category management at Cardiff Council, where over a 3-year period, or a 5-year period, sorry, we've been able to save £40 million in terms of cashable savings. And it was 18 million in terms of what finance would accept, because obviously once you've taken a saving one year, you can't use that one then the following year. So we actually get out from behind our desks here at USW and actually still keeping with industry. Many of my colleagues come from industry and have had careers as engineers, supply chain managers, production planners, logistics experts. So we are academics, but we also as well have industry contacts and keep in with up to date in terms of helping industry. The BA Logistics itself is split over 3 years or 4 years if you undertake a sandwich placement. So year one consists of economics, accounting, work organisational behaviour. We have a business skills or enterprise module. We have a marketing module and also a supply chain module. And that first year is what we call our management year. If you study marketing, if you study HRM, and if you study business management, everybody studies the same modules at year one in order to facilitate the building blocks for a future career in management, as we all need to understand what each other's doing, so in order to manage stakeholders and each other's expectations. Then in year two we specialise. We have a research methods and a quantitative statistics method module. We have logistics and materials management. We have retail and supply chain management. We have managing projects and operations. What we see is project management is essential now for all people working within supply chain, and so we have that along with operations. We have commercial procurement, and we also have procurement and strategic sourcing. Now after year two, the vast majority of our students will go and work in industry for a year, and the average placement salary is £18,000. But we have organisations such as the Office for National Statistics and the National Health Service who offer placement paying £21,000 and £19,500 respectively. We have the highest number of paid student placements at the university, excluding our nursing course, which is slightly different because that's with government and they guarantee 50 nurses each year. So outside of that, we have the highest number of placements at the university, with organisations both national and local. So when I say national, I mean the wider UK and also local to Wales. Some of these organisations are also international organisations. So for instance, we have Continental, who you probably recognise them as being the 3rd largest tyre manufacturer in the world, but they do more than tyres. Tyres only make up about 1/3 of their business portfolio. And in Ebervale, we have a centre of excellence for braking systems, which they'll provide all the braking systems for Land Rover, Maserati, BMW, a lot of the high-end brand vehicles. You could be working upon that. We've just had an exciting development as well in terms of Aston Martin opening up near us, and they're recruiting for 40 people within supply chain, and I'm helping to recruit, helping a local recruitment company to put them in touch with our alumni in order to create opportunities there. We're also doing quite well in the defence sector. The defence sector is quite buoyant at the moment. Not far from us, we have a big cluster of defence companies in Aztec Park in Bristol, which is more than commutable from us. But locally, we have General Dynamics, and we also have Axiom, and they're two examples of defence contract manufacturers. So General Dynamics are building the next armoured vehicle for the British Army, and also Axiom are a contracts electronics manufacturer, but about 40% of their business is specifically defence sector work, which is discreet, should we say, but we have fantastic opportunities at those organisations.
Could you describe the responsibility of such a student, okay? Because you know, you just finish your year 2 and then you will be placed in the company, right? So
yeah, well,
what do you have to do?
What do you have to do? Well, we work very hard in year 2. We work very hard anyway, but in particular in year 2, okay. My approach is that I'm preparing you to go to work. So yes, final year is very important, but I have to get you ready to go to work the following year. Okay. So the modules in terms of what we do, so for instance, our retail management module on year 2 encounters a live case study where you will go and access a local business, a local retailer, and you will offer them free support, free consultancy in analysing their practice, what they do, to the theory of what they should be doing, and produce a report so that you get, you're giving back to the local community who are housing you for the next 3 or 4 years. So you're getting known within the community, but also contributing to the Welsh economy, which is part of the mission statement of the university. But also what that gives you is a commercial edge, because that will allow you, even though it's in a retail module that we're delivering it, you are doing project management as well. So that will allow you to manage a real project within a different module. So we try to expose you to the skill sets that you are going to need whilst you're going on placement. We also undertake a number of facility visits. So we go to General Electrics, GE Aviation. We have a facility visit there. We go to places like Continental and Axiom, where we visit these facilities, so that when you undertake the operations management module, you will understand how each of these organisations work on an operations basis. This obviously helps you to understand the module of operations management.
You're not going to be lost.
So you're not going to be lost, but also when you're going for interview, you understand these companies. We also have industry speakers who will come in. So each one of the companies who I work with, so I've got about 10 or 11 companies locally, and they all come in and they will speak to the students. They'll tell them about the organisation, and also usually we'll go and visit the organisation as well if possible. But in some cases we even have industry experience delivering alongside our modules. So Darren Bone is he's I believe Director of Commercial at Office of National Statistics now. Last year he was teaching alongside one of our academics the commercial procurement module. So we had real life examples which Darren was able to bring into the classroom, but also Darren was able to help coach the students as well. In order not just for opportunities at his organisation, but also at other organisations. So we have a very strong alumni. We've been renowned for supply chain management since the 1970s, whether that was our previous, whether we were the Polytechnic of Wales, which then became the University of Glamorgan, which then became the University of South Wales. We have been known for supply chain for a long time. And as a result of that, we have a strong alumni, and that alumni will contribute back to us in terms of developing you to be the next generation of talent. But also, there is a huge amount of demand for trained supply chain and procurement professionals, and there's a lack of supply. So by our partners helping us develop talent, they come and they get to the front of the queue in terms of employment once you leave here as well. So we have one of the highest, or we have a very good graduate level employment figure. I believe it's 100% last year. And we have, I believe, every single student who wanted a placement, because not every student will want one, has had one for the last 3 years.
But you mentioned you'll be interviewed, right? So first, there's no guarantee.
Oh no, there's no guarantee. No, there's a competitive process. But what we will do is try and prepare you as much as we can in order to get that. But you're going to be up against a strong competition, because everybody else who sat in that room with you will also be going for it. But we've been
one place and more applicants.
Well, in the beginning, yes, but there's not always one place, because we've been very successful. Partners over the years started off with one place, and they've been so impressed they now got 2 places. So Cardiff Council last year wanted 2 placements, and they actually ended up having 3 placements. So they got 2 again now this year. We got Crown Commercial Services, they take 3 placements from us. We got the Office of National Statistics, they got 2 placements from us. We've got Continental, who sometimes will take either 1 or 2. We've got Axiom, who take 2 placements from us. So there's, we got the NHS, who got 2 placements from us. We got the National Health Service. We got the Crown Commercial Services, who buy on behalf of UK government. They have 3 placements from us. So what we find is that I change the DNA of offices in terms of commercial departments. They'll end up having student placements, and then what happens is I can go into their office and I'll go, 2008 you graduated, 2009 you graduated, 2010 you graduated, and slowly but surely lots of offices are becoming full of the students who have left our undergraduate degrees. And our links are not only at undergraduate. We run a fast track masters out of Maidenhead in London. We are one of the centres of excellence for the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply. We run a programme in London, in Maidenhead, and on that programme we have your directors of procurement and your heads of procurement. As well as locally in Wales, we are extremely well established with that. There's not many people in Wales in a senior procurement or supply chain position that hasn't done their education at the University of South Wales or University of Glamorgan, as we used to be. So there's a pattern, you know, because, and not only that, we're international and we're national as well, you know. So it's not, we're strong in Wales, we're strong nationally, and we've also got international links as well.
So students also have the opportunity to apply for international placement?
No. That's not to say we haven't had it. We have had them in Toulouse in France with Airbus. But it's not, you know, what I see is a lot of strength is national and local, you know. I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to say I've got international links. There's probably some person here who does. But yeah, edit that bit, will you?
And but, the contract is for, okay, you finish your year 2, you apply for such a placement, right?
That's correct.
Okay, and then the process begins,
interview process, yeah.
Right, and you would like to pick up some your favorite, I don't know, companies, or how does the process start?
The process starts is well, you can find your own placement as well, so we encourage that. Right. But obviously I have good links with a number of employers who will send jobs descriptions specifically for us, and they won't go to any other university. Okay. So we do have a number of organisations now where these relationships have been built up, I'd say, for the last decade, since I've been running the degree.
So student has been shown the list, or ask you?
Well, employers will come to us at different stages through the year, and we promote their job advert. Okay. And the employer will come in, they talk to the whole cohort of students. Right. And what I do is the students who are currently on placement, they come back here to talk to the existing students. So it creates a little snowball that keeps rolling down the hill, and the snowball's getting bigger and bigger. And so I've been very successful in helping graduates get jobs through our professional links. And also I expect the graduates who get positions in these new companies to create opportunities for the students who will be coming behind them. So it's, yeah, we keep in touch with them. It's, I act in a mentor capacity. I'm not saying for every single student who graduates from here, but a large proportion of them. I've got their phone numbers, they got my phone number, and I'll be aware of somebody who's recruiting, so I can, you know, at some stage they need to move on in their career, but then what we create then is the space behind, we can fill that space. Certain organisations will only have certain budgets, and at a certain time within your career you will outgrow what there is the capacity for that organisation to pay you. Well, we'll move you along. And then what we do then, the students who are coming behind backfill the positions that they're leaving. Okay. So it's a nice little way in which it all works, really. So it all the placement opportunities come from our industry engagement. If we're going out there and doing industry engagement consultancy or training, I know they have a recruitment need. And so if they help us develop talent, I help them with the recruitment.
Okay. And how long does it take, this placement?
Placements tend to be 12 months, but can be 15 months. So our exam periods here will finish in May, and you can go on placement in May and come back a year the following September. And for some organisations, particularly the ones who are in Wales, many of them are getting kept on. So they're working part-time in their final year. So they're getting paid, they're still getting relevant experience, and they're getting paid. So if I look at Continentals, for instance, they've kept 2 students on, Abby and Jordan. One's working in logistics, one's working in procurement. If I look at Danielle, who's down at Network Rail, she's in a very good position next year because Network Rail wish to keep her, and they've asked her to go and study part-time, and they're going to pay her fees next year. And we've seen, so they're going to pay her fees for the next 2 years. She's got a full-time salary and a very well-paid job to go along with that, as well as paying the tuition fee. And we see that as well. General Electric have done that in the past as well, where not every single student who goes on placement, but some of them, they'll then split their final year over 2 years, and sometimes they'll pick up the fee on that. But that's not always the case, because sometimes employers don't have the budgets to pay for that. But what certainly we do see, there's a stronger trend now of the students returning back to us in our final years and maintaining a part-time position with the employer that they've left. So it's good to have relevant experience, it's good to have the money in your pocket, and also and the networking. And you're also, which is the biggest USP for our course, in addition to the employment, is we are fully accredited by the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply Chain. Okay. So that means that once you graduate here and you have the relevant work experience, you are eligible for MSIPs, which is the equivalent of being a chartered accountant. It's our professional body within procurement and supply chain.
So you have something similar, right? So a recognized qualification?
What it is, it's a designate. So it's not a qualification, because your qualification will be the BA Logistics and Supply Chain, but that is mapped to the standards of the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply, and you will be awarded MSIPs. And if you look for any job, certainly within the UK and certainly within Commonwealth countries, you will see often MSIPs as a requirement for jobs of a certain level. So when you're looking at your more senior roles, they'll expect you to be MSIPs as a standard. And we run that course here at the University of South Wales for people who work in industry, and they come here and study that part-time. And for them to study that course with us would cost a minimum of £10,000. So, and there's added value that you're getting on top of your BA Logistics and Supply Chain. You're getting at least £10,000 worth of added value just in terms of the qualification, never mind the opportunities that creates. SIPs undertake research, and this is available online for you to look, but they say people who are professionally qualified with MSIPs earn on average £2,000 more per annum than that of those who are not MSIPs qualified. And so employers see this, they're quite they can't believe that an undergraduate student has this, and then they realise by employing that person, they then don't have to pay for them to do SIPs and let them out of the office for the next 3 years. So it works very well in terms of the opportunities that we have. So when you come back off placement, you come into the final year of the degree. Okay. And in the final year of the degree, you'll study business strategy, a strategic management module. You'll study strategic procurement and commercial relationships, supply chain management, risk and sustainability, global procurement and sourcing, and you will undertake a dissertation which will be 12,000 words dissertation, and that is effectively a double module, so will account for 40% of your grading for final year. Obviously, lots of students then utilise the organisations that they've left in order to undertake the dissertations on that. So
projects from the companies.
They can do it. It's not a requirement, but yes, it makes a lot of sense. It's because you get access to data. You know, and
so you need data, right? For this.
Yeah, because you're going to be carrying out research. That's we're an honours degree, and the dissertation is an independent study supported by us, but it will come from you as an undergraduate student.
From your idea.
Yeah, and then you research that particular topic, and you will become an expert in that area. If you know, you will. It's not like any other assignment that you've done. It will be challenging, but both stimulating at the same time. And you will be able to hold your own with the leading authorities for a period of 12 to 18 months after completing that on whatever your subject is that you choose, because you will know that inside out in terms of it. So you go down into a real granular detail in terms of the area of study that we focus on.
Okay. How are international students doing? Because some people, you know, scaring, okay, is my English good enough? Am I able to, you know?
International students are doing well. In some sectors, it is a little bit more difficult to appoint them.
Okay. But.
And the reason I say that is in defence, for instance. So, if you're a defence manufacturer and under the MOD, Ministry of Defence, you have to have been either UK born or have lived in the UK for 7 years. 7 years, yeah, because obviously it's a tried, trusted, secure supply chain, and so they put pressure then all the suppliers to conform to certain standards. But that's not to say that we don't have students who have been international. So I've had some Romanian students work at Axiom, and I've had students from Czech Republic.
European Union.
It can, and particularly what we found is that some of the European Union students have settled here beforehand as well, and will settle here after. But that's only the defence sector where there's this extra level of restriction. In terms of government, for like Crown Commercial Services, Office of National Statistics, National Health Service, local authorities, who we have very good links with, that restriction isn't there. And we see, you know, by the time that you've come here, okay, obviously the university has entry-level requirements for English. You will be studying through English. You will be socialising in English. By the time that you get to graduating, your English will be very good, you know. And if anything, you have an edge because of global sourcing. We have, you will no doubt have multiple languages. Or at least 2 languages, English and whatever country that you're coming from. And so that gives you, and what I find with international students is they don't just have 2 languages, they'll maybe have 3 or 4 languages to go along with that. And when we're looking at global sourcing and understanding global cultures, it is a massive advantage for you guys to have that as well. So even if you are settling in within the UK, you know, we source from all over the world, in different parts of the world. Having that understanding of different cultures and also being able to speak different languages is a huge advantage.
Okay, do we have any questions to ask on this one? I think we covered everything.
Are we allowed to touch on how much they get paid for the...
Yeah, there's statistics out there. The average, so placements is... so the average graduate salary for us is £23,000. Which is above the national, way above the national average. I think the national average is about 18. But our average placement salary has probably gone up in recent times because ONS, the highest payer I'd ever seen on placement was General Mills. So General Mills, have you heard Haagen-Dazs ice cream? Mm-hmm. That's General Mills. Old El Paso, the mix you put over chicken and put a Mexican thing, and then you got Cheerio cereals. They're all General Mills products. So General Mills are based in London. I think we're paying 23,000 for a student placement because of the London weighting factor. But ONS paying 21,000 in Newport. I'd say that, yeah, you'd range anything, I'd say, between 17,000 and 21,000. That's the placement salary.
So you can live independently for that money.
Yes,
Well, look, you know, it's they're good salaries, but more and more now, leaving university, I'm putting students on starting salaries at 27,000. So these do tend to be students who have undertaken the sandwich year. But I've put, in the last 2 years, I'd say, so let's just say there's maybe 40 students who've graduated within that, who I would say have studied the degree from start to finish. So from year one to, so not including top-up degrees, you know, so we have some international students who join us for 1 year and then they go back to the institution in Europe or in China. So for the students who've started with us from start to finish, so that's the 4-year degree, I've probably put 15 people, maybe 16 people in the last 2 years, starting salary of £27,000 and above.
What position are they offering?
It depends, but we teach supply chain, so we go from end to end. So it's very unlikely that you will leave here at the age of 22, 23 and be a supply chain manager. What tends to happen is that you will work in procurement, you'll work in operations, or you'll work in logistics, and then you'll get promoted within those functions, and then you become a supply chain manager, because the supply chain managers manage the whole chain. So it depends on the sector in which you're working in, because if you're looking at public sector procurement, they lead with procurement. Some organisations call it supply chain, but really it's procurement. So there's a little bit of confusion in terms of the roles. But in terms of the roles that we have there, we do have logistics roles, but where we see a real need and a real demand and really well paid is procurement. And we get companies who have relocated to Wales, Proxima in Cwmbran, Crown Commercial Services and Office of National Statistics and UK SBS have all come into Newport to tap up the procurement talent that is available within Wales, and predominantly available in Wales because of us. Because we have been one of the leading institutions in the UK in developing procurement talent for the last, well, since the 1970s. Okay. Was it 4 or 5 decades, you know? So it is, you know, and people realise that. And I have heard of other developments coming, which I can't say nothing more about, but certainly Aston Martin coming in terms of manufacturing, looking for 40 people within their supply chain function. That's creating opportunities, but also where 40 people are rushing to work for Aston Martin because they're paying higher salaries, and obviously it's Aston Martin, who doesn't want to work for. Apparently, nice. Yeah, I'm not sure they give you a company car though. But they have given a company car, but it's a Mercedes. You go, yeah, tough world, isn't it? But in terms of that, obviously they've recruited 40 people from the local economy. That creates a void then behind them that we're helping for the new generation of talent to go through and do it. Yes, they're factory. Yeah, they're building the new SUV in St. Athan. So yeah, things are looking very good for us. We also have TVR coming into Ebervale, which is a niche sports car manufacturer. Plus also we've got lots of other in automotive. Plus we've got defence sector. But where we see a real strength and a huge amount of recruitment is in public sector procurement. Yes, and it pays very well in terms of. Well, yeah. Well, to be honest with you, so we got Tata Steel in Swansea or Port Talbot. So Tata, massive manufacturer of steel. Going back 3 years ago, they made a lot of their workforce redundant because the changing currencies and demand, all of a sudden they're making a £40 million loss. 3 weeks later, they're making a £9 million profit because the global market has changed and now they're profitable again. But they made a lot of people redundant there, and people get jobs like that within procurement and supply chain. And we see it's a mobile workforce. If 18 months to 3 years, if you're not progressing, you should be moving on. And that's what we see, particularly whilst you're young. You know, you can move around. You don't have these commitments of families and mortgages. And, you know, we got commuter belts. It's a strong M4 corridor. And we have further developments coming in as well in terms of the South Wales Metro, which will provide further connectivity to the valleys that feed Cardiff. Because obviously Cardiff is our city region and our economic powerhouse. But along the M4 corridor, we've got some really exciting developments at IQE. And IQE are the world's leading manufacturer of the next generation of semiconductor processors that go into these phones, laptops, iPads, you name it. And that's happening in Wales. You know, so we get fantastic scenery. We're within 30 minutes. We can be on the beach or in the mountains. We have a fantastic city in Cardiff in terms of the Millennium Stadium, whether that's Champions League, Rugby World Cup, or big concerts, whether that's Beyonce, Ed Sheeran. It's
people sitting around them.
You're looking for tickets. There's a lot going on here, and we got campuses within Pontypridd, Newport, Merthyr, Cardiff. So, you know, we're well spread out, but within 10 minutes of the train here in Treforest, you're in the middle of Cardiff. And with everything that comes with Cardiff then. And then you can come back here to have a little bit of a quieter life as well. So you get the best of both worlds. And
you've met yesterday people that enjoy life here very much.
It is a good life.
We went to Cardiff for a second, and then we are coming back here to chill, to live here, and then we can go to city always.
Yeah.
Cardiff is a place to work, and Treforest is a place to live.
Yeah, it's not a bad balance actually. So, because in you know, at times you will need that peace. You know, there will be times when you appear not busy, and then there'll be times when you are extremely busy, and prioritising workload and being able to be disciplined and knuckle down and do that. That's all part of the skills of being a graduate, or undergraduate rather.
Well, thank you very much for all information you provided. We hope to send you some clever Polish students. They just need information to see the work perspective.
If you get a number of them together, I'm more than happy to have a Skype conversation with them. Not a problem.
That would be
not a problem at all. And
just grab some information in terms of this career prospects. That's the
well, we've got. If you go to our website, we've got a number of student testimonies on there that are not from us, that are all from
Because at the beginning, for some business students, logistics and
going into university, I was kind of clueless.
Doesn't sound very sexy.
I wanted to go in terms of what I study, but I did stumble
after
upon
the information you provided.
It's always interested me business, but I needed to choose something that was kind of out of my comfort zone that I could adjust to and adapt to. And luckily, it's something I'm thoroughly enjoying. Work placements really do give students a cutting edge when going to the job market. We've had a number of placements every year with blue chip companies and local organisations. And the experience that the students gain from these on meaningful projects make them extremely employable.
Is it iPad Pro?
Yeah.
Good sound.
My role involves conducting...
I'm not going to say every student gets one of those, mate.
strategy and its partner organisations at UK SBS. The best thing about my work placement was that I was able to communicate with our customers in a public organisation on a professional basis.
My job title officially is a Senior Supply Chain Officer. I do various different things. The NHS Shared Service Partnership, we work within procurement, supply chain and logistics. A lot of the work that I do is focused at the delivery points for our deliveries and all of the other deliveries that the hospital will get in. So I work down in that area, ensuring that